am not bad. I am a little bit sad it's so warm here today. It's been a roller coaster of a week in the Midwest. We had our first snowfall, first like proper snowfall earlier this week, but it's gone now.
Oh, that's too bad. We haven't had any snow here. We've just had the liquid sunshine kind of thing that we normally get in November and December out west on the West Coast.
Yeah, not bad. El Nino year, we're gonna have to enjoy the snow when we get it, at least here. I'm not sure what El Nino means for you. Yeah, I will be shoveling my little heart out with pleasure when we can.
Well, it's predicted for lots of rain here this winter, but as we like to say, at least we don't have to shovel rain.
I have never heard that before, but I like that. Thank you. And, one thing that we have going this year on Seagull and for GLOS is that we get just to start capturing some of the winter observing patterns and changes that are around the Great Lakes region.
Really? That's fascinating. What that is probably considered like observations over the winter? Is that what we call it at GLOS?
It's exactly, yeah. We usually call it winter obs for short, just because we like to cut off the rest of observing whatever we can to save us a little bit of time when we're speaking about it. But yeah, that's exactly what it is. They're observations that are taken over the winter months. So generally from November until March, we don't have a lot of actual observing in the Great Lakes. So this year we're changing that, and we have a lot of partners on the Great Lakes who have been working to change that for a number of years.
So what does that really mean? Does that mean that there are buoys and other devices or platforms that are out on the water in the ice over the winter?
Exactly, yeah.
Don't they get crushed by the ice?
No, they've done some testing, and that's always a risk, and that's why we don't have more winter observations, but we are using some different types of, we have funded some different types of technology or newer types that will hopefully withstand the winter, and hopefully they're in less harsh areas or more open water areas. So we can report more on that later once we see how they do.
Wow. So there is a risk that we could potentially lose some of these platforms, or they could get damaged over the winter, but we're going to try it anyway because we're risk takers at GLOS.
And that's always a risk when you put something out in the Great Lakes or the ocean. It always might not come back. So anyways, enough about the weather. Tim, do you want to share the live stream overview today? Since you're obviously not where you usually are, and I feel like you have something going on.
That's true. I'm usually in my basement office at my house, but clearly I'm somewhere new today. I had to drive my dog sled team to come downtown Victoria, where I could connect with my colleague Pramod Thupaki, who's the technical director of the Canadian CIOOS Pacific region. I'm here at the CIOOS Hakai office here in Victoria, British Columbia. And it's beautiful, although it is raining and a bit gray today, and there's some construction going out on the pier. Otherwise, we'd show you a picture, or maybe we can show you a picture of what it looks like outside the office that's just beside me here at the Victoria building that I'm in. Right there we go. And so there's lots of seaplanes. So my colleague, I would not be able to work here on a regular basis because I'm too easily distracted. So, but my colleague Pramod, he gets to stare at seaplanes landing and taking off all day long, plus a variety of boats that come in and out of the harbor. After that interview with Pramod, which I'm really looking forward to, we're going to be highlighting some changes to our major changes that have just come in our latest Seagull release workspace beta, as well as some other great changes to our nested Seagull capability. And if you're not familiar with what nest seagulls are, or seagull nests are, then we'll tell you that later in the webcast. Shelby?
Yeah, I've been looking forward to sharing these updates with our users for a while, especially the workspace beta. There a lot of work went into that. And I'm really excited to hear more from Pramod to highlight the GLOS CIOOS relationship.
All right, we'll scooch over Pramod. All right. Well, we're going low tech today without all the video and audio equipment that we normally have for in-person interviews. But I'm here with my colleague Pramod. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
He tried to find the Seagull shirt, and it may be hard to tell, but you have to zoom in, but he's got flamingos on his shirt instead of seagulls, which I thought was a hilarious touch.
I'm trying to stick with the theme, with the bird, with the avian theme, and I have to say that I'm a big fan of seagulls. So yeah, I have, but I couldn't find seagulls, so I found a flamingo shirt instead. So
that's fantastic. All right, well, so CIOOS, just for our viewers' sake, so CIOOS is the Canadian counterpart, the Canadian Integrated Ocean Observing System. Most of you probably know that we're part of the US-based Integrated Ocean Observing System, of which GLOS is the certified regional association for the Great Lakes. Now, there's 3 regions in Canada. There's Pacific,
SLGO, and Atlantic.
Okay, SLGO is the St. Lawrence Global Observatory, which covers the Gulf of St. Lawrence and the St. Lawrence River. And so Pramod represents the Pacific region, but he also sits at the national level and has done a lot of technical work. So you can think of IOOS and CIOOS kind of like sister organizations. We're all part of, really a global observing network of groups and regions and associations like us, whose sole mission is to aggregate and publish data and information about the marine environment that is nearby, or not necessarily in my case, but for the marine environments that matter to so many people. So Pramod, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your role with CIOOS Pacific and CIOOS at the national level?
Absolutely. So I'm the technical director for CIOOS Pacific, and in that capacity, I work. It's mostly a coordination role, and I work with the various partners and make sure that we have a collaborative working relationship and look at developing products and applications that can make data more easily accessible. I also work with stakeholders and try to make sure that we address their technical challenges as much as possible. So in that capacity, I sit on with a number of engagement meetings and so on and so forth. At the national level, I sit on the technical committee, which is one of the 3 committees within CIOOS for governing the whole organization. And we are responsible for all the technical work that happens across the regions. We have a very collaborative and federated approach at the national level. So we all work together to common standards, and then build tools that make use of those standards to actually make maintenance easier and make sure that users have a common look and feel, and they have access to all the data as though it was from their own region.
Yeah. Well, as certainly in the Great Lakes and across the IOOS network, we have a wide diversity of users. I'm assuming that you have the similar diversity of users in Canada. What are some of the data challenges that those users face? And I suppose in turn you face as well in serving those users.
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the issues I think faced by ocean observing systems across the world is that data are collected piecemeal, sometimes by small organizations, and they're used and then they're put away. And they're seldom held to common standards. So they're kind of logged away into little puddles. So and small packets, and access to that is very limited. It's very difficult. Even discoverability, which means basically knowing that the data actually exists, is a big challenge as well. So CIOOS, as the vision of CIOOS is to be the nucleus for Canadian ocean observing. And in that and the way we want to do that is by making these data more easily discoverable, which means basically letting users know that these data exist, and also accessible, so that the users can actually go out and actually get the data if they want to access it. Now, the users come in different flavors. Some of them are more scientifically focused. Others are more interested in what that actually means. So we try to cater to both those audiences and more by providing access to the data itself. And also creating these information products and services that makes it much more user-friendly to access and play with and explore these data sets.
So it sounds like there needs to be some technology innovation as part of your portfolio. And so tell us a little bit about what that means at CIOOS, and then how you use technology innovation to deliver services for your users.
Absolutely. The problem, the scale of the issues that I just mentioned are pretty widespread, and to address them, and more data are being collected as we speak. So in order to find a sustainable solution, a practical solution to this issue, we have to use technology, and we have to have develop common standards and tools that help make data that are collected more easily available on some kind of common standards platform, and then we develop tools and applications that are built on top of these common standards to actually that make it automated to actually provide access to these data. So as soon as data are collected, they're uploaded into the system, or they're accessed by centralized products and applications, and that can then understand what's going on. So machines need to be able to understand what the data are, and people need to be able to then make sense of what the machine then outputs. One of these applications is the CIOOS Data Explorer that we have developed, and that really makes that's built on common standards and makes these data available and accessible to users.
Well, tell us about the Data Explorer product. Maybe we'll even, I think we've got the ability to share it on screen here. Let me just quickly do that.
Yeah, this is the CIOOS Data Explorer, and it's being developed at Hacker Institute, which is one of the partners at CIOOS Pacific, and also the institution that I work for. So when you go into the CIOOS Data Explorer site, that's called explore.cios.ca, you encounter a site that looks a page that looks like this. It tells you what the capacities and capabilities are. It basically lets you filter data sets, select data sets across geographic region, and then inspect. They basically understand exactly what those data are, and then potentially, if you're interested, you can download it as well. This application really addresses a big issue that we faced in the ocean observing system space, which is basically that data are held in many different locations and organizations, and users generally don't have a global. It's difficult for users to have a global sense of where those data are actually located and how to access them, and that's what we try to do, and try to do this in as efficient and user-friendly a manner as possible. So as you can see, you can just zoom into a region of your interest, and I've picked Lake Michigan, which I know quite well. So I can just zoom in, and you can see there are different dots, and they have different colors. So basically, they indicate the kind of platform that they actually that were used in collecting these data, and you can also get some sense when you hover your mouse over it, what exactly those data are. And you can also see the additional information on the left-hand side there. That's another way of actually discovering it. If you know the name, you can just enter the name and then search for that directly there as well. If you want, you can also select the particular data set, and then that'll give you more information about this. And this is, as you can see, it's the Wilmette buoy, metallurgical information sets there. And if you want to access the data itself, you can then click on this link here, and that then takes you into the ADAPT site that incidentally Gloss maintains. So works seamlessly.
So is this the data that you're accessing through CIOOS Data Explorer? Is this really integrated via Seagull then?
Yes, in a manner it is, because the data sets that you see here are all coming in directly from the underlying database that then feeds data to Seagull as well. And what we do is basically read the address and kind of read the metadata information of the data, and then use that to provide access to users and tell them exactly where those data sets are actually located. And when they want to actually download the data that itself, we provide them with the RDAP link, with the database link, so that they can then go ahead and download the actual data if they're interested in doing that.
And how was your experience integrating with Seagull and making that connection? Was that challenging? Was it difficult?
It's actually it was surprisingly easy. And I think we've encountered we've done this several times with lots of different partners across Canada and elsewhere, and it was one of the easiest experiences to actually integrate these the Seagull database with CDE, mostly because we actually we follow same standards and information and storage protocols, and we have a great working relationship. So if you had any questions, we could always talk to you and find out, okay, how do we read this thing? And it always helps that we were speaking the same dialect in terms of the data exchange and semantics, and so we were able to connect it. And now the linkage is almost completely automated. So if there is any new data that goes into GLOS and Seagull, then the changes should be reflected automatically in CDE as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. Have you heard, I know that most of your users are using CIOOS Data Explorer, and many of them are also using Seagull. Have you heard any feedback about Seagull that you can give me and I can provide to our development team to improve it?
Absolutely. I think the CIOOS Data Explorer is more targeted at a slightly more scientific user crowd. And for people who want to really explore the data and to discover it and to kind of play around with it, I think Seagull is an amazing place, and the feedback that we get, and it's my own personal opinion as well, is that it's extremely intuitive to use, and you might come in looking for a particular thing, but then you in the process you kind of play around and then discover lots of other interesting things as well. And you might, and before you know it, it's like you spend half an hour or 45 minutes doing this thing. And as a scientist, I think, and as a person with a technical background, I always find it interesting, and it's really productive and helps people engage more with the data around them and the world around them when they have access to platforms such as Seagull. So yeah, great job there.
Wow, well, thank you. That's the first time I've ever heard Seagull compared to the marine information version of TikTok, basically.
Your words are mine, but certainly it's a great platform for users to explore the world around them, and yeah.
Great. Well, thank you for being on the live stream with us today, Pramod.
Yeah.
I appreciate you being here, particularly with your flamingo shirt. And I think our producer is going to put a link down below and in the comments, perhaps, of where we can learn more about CIOOS, CIOOS Pacific, Hakai Institute, and of course, the CIOOS Data Explorer, if you're interested in that content as well. So thanks so much for joining us today. Yeah. Okay. All right, Shelby. Well, I know that one of the things we were going to also learn about today was the new workspace beta. So tell us about that for Seagull.
Yes, absolutely. I am very happy to be doing this today. It's been I don't say a long time coming, but it's something that we've talked about a lot within GLOS and trying to have it ready to go. So one thing that we were asked by some users is to be able to explore data or compare it between platforms directly. And we didn't previously have a way to do that. Right now, unfortunately, there's a lot of buoys out of the water, but there are some that have gotten left behind or are doing their winter obs jobs. So we can look at those data sites. So I'm going to pick this spotter that's in Northern Lake Huron that was recently deployed. And I'm really interested in what the waves look like out there. So I'm going to go to significant wave height. And this is over the 24-hour period. If you want to just compare values on the same platform, you can do that by adding things to the graph and looking at different variables. But if you want to compare to some other platform, you now can do that through the workspace beta. So you go to the workspace beta on the left, and then you have to add in the information. So I remember that the platform was in northern Lake Huron. And yep, there's the spotter that reported 25 minutes ago. Excellent. I should note that, oh, wait, one more second. And then we're going to add in the variable of interest, which is significant wave height. So right now, this feature only allows you to look at data that's active, and we are working on adding in historical data so you can look back across data from this season and different platforms. However, right now you can see this is the last 7 days of data of significant wave height. And if I wanted to compare it to wind information, I can now easily do that. I'm in the Thunder Bay area, and there's a meteorological tower that is nearby. So spotters don't directly measure wind. They calculate it from the wave spectra. And if I want a direct wind measurement and wind speed to see how wind speed and wave heights correlate, I can now look at those directly. So this orange line I can see on the right side here is my significant wave height at that spotter buoy. And then the green is the wind speed at that nearby Met tower. And you can see, as you might expect, that when the wind blows harder, the waves get a little choppier. And on it goes. So that is the workspace beta. We are working on making improvements to this and adding more functionality. If you are inclined to try this tool and to test it, we would graciously welcome feedback, which you can provide at this top provide feedback button. We've said it before, we really do value the information and feedback that our users can offer us in real time. And then the other thing that I wanted to highlight was on the Rayon Seagull page. So I'm going to switch tabs. So if you're familiar, we have Rayon as a nested Seagull. This is a branded Seagull experience that we developed with the Rayon group. I was going to say they're mama bird, but because it's Seagull, but this is really the Rayon group's Seagull nest. And we've done a couple of things now. We've made the icons color specific, and we've zoomed to the geographic extent of where their platforms primarily are. So you can now just see the stations that they have. And then if you want to see them in the context of other Seagull platforms, you can easily add those back in. And still the highlighted colors for these Rayon platforms are available to be seen. They're all recovered right now. These stations are out of the water for the winter, but this is a really great new feature that we've added to this specific kind of Seagull. If you're interested in what else we can do for a nested Seagull, I encourage you to reach out. We really do want to make each nested Seagull what the users want to experience. And I should note that the specific customization can be driven on a case-by-case basis, depending on the mama bird's desires. Tim, do you have anything you wanted to add?
Well, thanks so much for both of those demonstrations, Shelby. That was great. And I know certainly we've got many users who are excited about these changes, as well as our primary group who's using Nested Seagull, which is Rayon at University of Windsor. So if there are other groups, the interesting thing about nested Seagulls is that we still use the same code base. So we don't have multiple versions of Seagull out there, although it kind of looks like it. We're actually just using the same version of Seagull. And then we have like a skinned version, if you want. We put different feathers on the bird, so to speak, as we deploy it around the Great Lakes. And so if your organization is interested in having its own nested Seagull, just let us know. Reach out to us at support@gloss.org, and certainly we can make that happen for you. We did have a great question that came in through the chat for Pramod. So I've asked him. Fortunately, I didn't leave, and neither did he. So I'm going to bring him back on stage, and Pramod's going to answer the question. And I'll just read it out for everyone. So how is ocean data that CIOOS is acquiring and disseminating impacting Canadians' everyday life? What are the critical data that can drive policy decision making?
So it's as I said, ocean data has been is being collected, for years, and a lot of the data has been inaccessible. So CIOOS doesn't itself acquire data sets. It doesn't go out and measure these data, does not deploy instruments. However, we work with data providers who have been doing that for decades and for more than 100 years. And so we work closely with these partners to bring these data to the current standards, and then make that available to not just a smaller group, but to the wide world as a whole. And so, for example, when you go to the CIOOS Data Explorer, you will see that we have data from all over the world, actually, not just from Canadian waters. And that's because a lot of programs have been funded by Canadian government that actually go out and collect data from a lot of international waters. And these data, which are over 100 years old, they're really important. They're really valuable because you can't go back and collect this data. That's the best answer I can say. Also, they provide a baseline for what's happening when we talk about climate change, and how the ocean and how the world is changing into the future. And though these data sets sometimes are not considered, very, it's not a very glamorous part of the job, but I think it's a very important and essential part of what CIOOS does, which is make that data sets, unlocks it, and makes it available. But in terms of impact that we're having on Canadians' lives, I think we also try to make a lot of near real-time data sets available that can be used for data assimilation in models, that can then be used for forecasting, short-term prediction, making short-term predictions as well. So basically, if you're a surfer and you're going out, you want to plan your beach day out, then you would like to know what the weather is going to be like, what the waves are going to be like. And the way we do that is by making sure that those models are better, and those models need to be ground truth. So these complex three-dimensional hydrodynamic ocean models, they use real-time data observations from buoys and from gliders and other platforms, and then make sure that it's actually is doing as good a job as it can. So in a very real, tangible way, CIOOS helps improve people's experience of of how they interact with the oceans, and also in a longer time scale, in a sense, we also let communities plan for changes that are coming 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the line. So we try to help in both those time scales, and sometimes it's difficult, but we try to manage.
Well, it sounds like you've got some similar challenges that we do in the Great Lakes, and
Yeah.
maybe we've got some opportunities to learn from CIOOS as well, certainly in the area of numerical modeling, and better improving forecast models for others to consume data and information and make those kind of critical information decisions. Is certainly valuable and something that we can all benefit from, a shared knowledge. So thank you for that answer. All right, Shelby, I think we're just about to wrap it up here for the December live stream from the Great Lakes Observing System for our Seagull users and our CIOOS Data Explorer users as well. Anything else that we've got to add for today?
I would just like to add that if anyone watching has a use case for Seagull or would like to be a guest on our live stream, please reach out. We're always happy to hear from you and hear how our users are finding Seagull and what they're doing with it. So that's it.
Right. And for those of you who are familiar with Seagull at seagull.gloss.org, we look forward to seeing you in the app and on future live streams. If you've got any feedback for us, by all means, hit the feedback bar right inside Seagull, that orange bar at the top of your screen. We always love to get your feedback, and we hand the comments and suggestions over to the development team for future consideration into future releases of Seagull. So we thank you again for joining us today, or if you're watching this in the future. And by all means, don't forget to subscribe down in the link below. And we look forward to seeing you later. Thanks so much, Shelby. Thanks, Pramod. And we'll see you all next time.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.